Once upon a time, I had a dream to visit Morocco after watching the Spanish series El Tiempo Entre Costuras. A great series, which I highly recommend, by the way. I was granted this opportunity to fulfill my dream when I lived in Spain, but my trip to Morocco did not turn out as I thought it would. There were many reasons why Morocco was on the top of my list. One of which was that it was going to be the second Muslim country I would visit. My first at that time was Dubai, and I wanted to visit another Muslim country because it's just a different experience, and it's kind of an experience where I never feel like the minority, and I wanted to have an experience. And the reason is that Morocco has like beautiful culture, wonderful landscape, and rich history. So of course, Ibn Battuta is from Morocco and is a different part of Africa I wanted to see for myself. But the biggest dilemma of going to Morocco really was who would I go with? And as a traveler, I honestly enjoy going with at least one more person, but because I love to travel, if I don't have that opportunity, I end up going myself. But Morocco was different. I couldn't just do that because I had read different reviews that Morocco might not be the safest place for a solo female traveler to go to, so I was kind of wary about that. And I actually did a video about this, talking about whether Morocco is safe for women. Everyone has their own experience, but at that time I was kind of like, whoa, I don't think I want to experience this. I'd rather go with like somebody at least, or a group of people. So I decided to go with a group. And when you live in Spain, there are a lot of Erasmus. In Europe, Erasmus is basically the American version of study abroad program. And I joined this Erasmus group, even though I had already graduated from college. But Erasmus groups are perfect to go to tag along. Basically, if you want to save money, they usually are very cost effective. And the only disadvantage is like maybe they're not going to be as super luxurious or super comfortable as if you paid more. Anyway, I decided to go with this group, and there were like, I think, over 20 people on this trip, and most of the people on the trip were girls, so they probably were thinking the same thing as I was. And then our tour guide, our kind of like supervisors, I'll say supervisors, were two guys. One was from Spain and the other was from France. And the French guy obviously could speak French, so he really could go, like, basically knew the ins and outs of Morocco, and he was obsessed with Morocco for some reason. So as I mentioned before, going with Erasmus group is the best way to get around most of Europe, or even North Africa, when you're living in Spain, or even other parts of Europe. And I think I paid like, can't remember, but I know it wasn't even up to perhaps like between 100 euros to 200 euros, but I think it was less. And that included like transportation to Morocco, from Spain to Morocco, back and forth, round trip, accommodation, food. Of course, if you wanted more, like you wanted to eat more, you have to pay extra. So it was like 3-course meal, and your photograph taken, photography, tours. Yeah, the package was ideal for me. It was a week with 10 cities. So I went to Tangier, Fez, Casablanca, Marrakesh. Did we go to Rabat? Chefchaouen, Tetuan. Oh, I can't remember the other one. Yeah, of course, we went to the Sahara Desert, Uzuarte, and I think the Atlas Mountain as well. So those were kind of the 9 places we went to in 1 week. So you can imagine that we had to like hurry to kind of pack that all in. That was what the trip concluded of. So I was like, of course, I'm gonna hop right in. And we went mostly by road. Of course, that kind of saved costs. So they hired a bus. The bus was I would say quite comfortable. From Madrid to, I think Tarifa, yeah, from Madrid to Tarifa, Spain, and then we took a ferry from Tarifa to Tetuan, to Tangier. Oh my gosh, my experience on the ferry really reminded me of the series I was talking about. Just that was my first ferry ride and going across, oceans and the Mediterranean Sea and everything, and it was amazing. And like for such a price, I thought, and I still think it was worth it. Everyone came from all over the world, from Canada to Tajikistan. I actually became very close friends with the Tajik girl because, we have she was, we just connected. I don't know why. So it was me, the Tajik girl, and another American girl on the trip. And we kind of became close friends. And that's one of the things about traveling alone. There's that fear of like, will I make friends or not? But I realized that when I do travel alone, I actually make more friends because you seem more open to meeting more people. At first it's awkward, especially when you're in a group of other people who probably like come with your friends, and then you're like, who's gonna be my friend? Kind of reminds you of high school. But in most of my trips, I didn't have that issue. I always had like a camera person to help me take pictures, or a friend to go along with me to other sites that we might be interested in. And so that was my group. Of course, when it comes to traveling with groups, there is always that challenge of like organizing everyone's like logistics together. Everyone has different like preparation time. I'm that person that when I reach a location, I rest, then plan, and then like head out. I don't take forever to prepare. I am just like, wake up, shower, let's head out. With traveling with groups, of course, there were pet peeves that I experienced when I was there with a group. So the group was like full of diverse people, and with diverse people, diversity is beautiful, and at the same time, if not handled well, it could be not beautiful. For example, when you have a diverse group of people and there's no respect for the culture, then it becomes unattractive. And that's one thing I experienced with this group. Most of the people, especially from the West, I'll say, there was this guy from Canada who kept on complaining about the call to prayer. He was like, you think that after after thousands of years, these countries will finally invent an app where they can notify people to pray without shouting through the speakers? And I'm like, excuse you? I mean, this is the beauty of like countries like Morocco, because it's their characteristic, is like what defines them. And for someone like me who had never lived in a Muslim majority country, it was a beautiful thing. Like, I just felt like I didn't have to check like a calendar to know what time it is to pray. Just the call to prayer. I mean, I understand that if you're not a Muslim, it could be like, oh my gosh, it's 5 a.m. in the morning. Why is it so loud? So yeah, I understand that part, but like, I just feel like when you come to a country, you should kind of like try to understand them rather than judge the country just because it's not what you're used to. That was a pet peeve from my end. There was also like a lot of ranting about the limited access to alcohol. And like I said, like, when you're in a country that lifestyle is different, and if you're willing to travel, you should also be open to different lifestyles. And they just kept complaining about, oh my gosh, there's not even alcohol here. Where is the alcohol? I'm like, guys, you signed up for a trip to Morocco. You shouldn't like expect to see alcohol there. Like, I mean, I respect everyone's decision. Of course, you should drink whatever you want to drink, but like just keeping on ranting about it is weird. It's kind of like me going to Italy and like, oh my gosh, why is it that there's no like not many halal meats here? And it's just keeping on ranting about it. It's kind of, what's the point? I know what I signed up when I decide to go to these countries, for example, And of course, the last rant, which was something that really got on my last nerve, was like, oh my gosh, why can't we go clubbing? I'm just like, guys, we're here to experience the culture. Like, why would you want to do the same thing you do in your countries when you come to Morocco? So imagine all these combined little pet peeves that were the characteristics of some of the people at the group. Was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be with these people for like a week. God help me. In the group, there was this German guy who just kept staring at me and my new friends. And he was just like staring, and I was kind of like, okay, it's kind of rude to stare. You just don't stare at people. Like, you know, if you're in New York, for example, and you're staring, people are like, hey, what's good? You know, you just don't do that. And I was like, why is he staring at us? So weird. And then he finally was like brave enough to come to my friend and I, and he talked to the Tajik girl, and he was like, you're so beautiful. And he just kept on telling her that like so many times. It was kind of creepy, to be honest. But and then he starts asking about Islam, and he was like, oh, why is that you wear this? And honestly, when people ask me that, depending on your tone, I don't really get annoyed by it. But if I feel like I have to lecture you about it, it's kind of like, dude, read a book or go online, go to Google, ask Google, you know? So he just kept on asking me all these questions. And then, of course, I asked him questions back, so they cannot seem like I felt interrogated. I wanted it to be more of a conversation. And then he starts ranting about politics in Germany, how he didn't like Angela Merkel. And I'm like, dude, I don't really care. I'm just here to experience Moroccan culture. So I kind of had a bad like vibe from him, just because he didn't come off like in a friendly way. It was more of like in a observatory way. Like he was just like analyzing us and looking at us with suspicion. And maybe I just don't understand German body language, so maybe that was his way of being friendly. But that's something, I've not been around a lot of Germans, so I don't know how they interact with people. So maybe he wasn't rude, but for me it kind of seemed rude. So I just kind of, you know, he kind of rubbed me off the wrong way. But I kind of tried to avoid him, but he just kept on trying to talk to us. I'm just like, bruh, enjoy Morocco. You know, I mentioned that we had like two supervisors, one from France, one from Spain. The French guy was kind of cool. I liked him. He knew his way around Morocco because he'd been there like so many times. He really interacted with local. He was one of those people that actually try to get to know the locals and not treat them like, oh, we're just tourists here and you guys are peasants. You know, he actually tried to interact, and I think him speaking French was very helpful. And then the Spanish guy was kind of like standoffish, and he only interacted with certain people in the group, which was kind of like, dude, you're a supervisor. You're not here to try to flirt with people or only be nice to certain people. And one thing that really bothered me was that, you know, we had a diverse group, and he wasn't like curtailing some comments that people will make. So some people will make ignorant comments about Moroccan culture or like about other groups of people, and he even encouraged it sometimes and even added to it. And I was kind of like, what kind of supervisor are you? So that was kind of like, you know, this is where things kind of took a turn. We've been to like 3 or 4 cities, and you know, imagine we're just driving around, we're driving through Morocco with this vehicle for like average of like 10 hours a day. There were many times I didn't shower, not just me, of course, like, you know, the whole group. And like we didn't shower. I was uncomfortable. I was actually at that time of the month as well, so I was like, a little bit cranky. We did have good moments, like, you know, Ellen's heads up game is a very good icebreaker from whatever, you know, regardless of whatever country you're from. You know, it's a great way to connect with people. So I played that with people and it was awesome. So we had like precious moments. But yeah, you can imagine the setting in a desert, well, in the arid region, hot, uncomfortable, tired. We're going around mountains, and of course the mountain views were spectacular, like out of this world. That's one thing I love about Morocco. The scenery is beautiful. But anyway, the trip, the place I was actually most excited for was the Sahara Desert. And you know, imagine you're going to the largest desert in the world, and I was so excited about that. And so like we're like, okay guys, we're going to the Sahara. It took us 12 hours from Marrakesh. Yeah, we went from Marrakesh to Ouargla, and then from Ouargla we're heading to the Sahara Desert. And so it took us 12 hours just driving, went across the Atlas Mountain, and then we were on the desert, and I was like, my heart was beating. I was like, this is it. Oh my gosh, and still a priceless moment for me, to be honest. And so once we reached, like, there was this hotel just like on the outskirts of the desert. So we're like, okay, we're gonna drop our stuff here and then get in the desert. Of course, we weren't like going to use the vehicle. Like we kind of hired like a van and an SUV. So we just kind of dropped our stuff in this hotel. They already made an agreement, just like let us drop our stuff there. And mind you, we had not showered. We were gonna spend the night in the desert, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, spend the night at the desert. That's like a priceless experience. And so they had like camels ready for us. I was so excited. I was a little bit scared about the camels, of course, but I was so excited. Like, this was just such an exciting experience. And so we rode the camels. I tried my best to not bother the camels because I didn't want them to drop me or kick me or bite me. So I was a little bit nervous on that. Guides were just, you know, talking a little bit about the desert, and then we even had like a moment where we paused, and then we kind of did like some like not tobogganing, but we kind of did like basically sledded down the this sand dune, and it was still till today, 4 years later. 5 years later, actually, it's still like my most treasured experience. And then we finally arrived at the tent where we're gonna sleep in for the night. So upon arriving at the tent, I was like, okay, this is awesome. We get to hang out with Amazigh people, and you know, with their attire, it was so beautiful. Saw these people, I forgot what they called them. They have this hat, and like they dance around with it. It was just so beautiful. And then so the idea was basically for us to gather around the fireplace and then play beautiful traditional Moroccan tunes, and like they hit the drums, and we're supposed to kind of hang out. Unfortunately, we couldn't really interact with the Amazigh people of the desert because I didn't speak French, and I don't speak the language that the Amazigh people speak. The only person I could speak with them was actually the French guy, because I think they spoke a little bit of French. So yeah. And by the way, the group had finally found alcohol to purchase, because, you know, they were like dying without alcohol, because they were like, oh my God, we have to have alcohol, we can't live. So, you know, we did a pit stop, went to a grocery store, then they got what they needed. And then yeah, so we all each had like tents where we were gonna sleep in. The Amazigh already prepared each of our tents and everything, so everything looked awesome. But there was one big thing, and that was we only had one bathroom. Guys, just remember, we were around 20 in this group, and there were also like 5 other Amazigh people. And you know, I wasn't complaining about that, because it was even like nice of them to even welcome us to their own abode, their humble abode. But I'll tell you the reason why I'm emphasizing this one bathroom. We went stargazing, and you know, some of the people in the group were drinking in the middle of the desert. They were having fun, you know, and you know, the German guy joined them to get drunk and everything. It was, you know, everyone's having their own type of fun. Me and my friends, we kind of lay a mat, kind of stargaze. Still a priceless experience, by the way. And we're just sitting down enjoying the place. The German guy comes and he's like, "You're so beautiful." He tells like the Tajik girl, "You're so beautiful," and he's just kind of like harassing her, and we're kind of trying to run away from him. And then he just starts being really annoying, and even almost to the point of belligerence. And like people, even his friends in the group, start ignoring him because I think he drank so much, and like, you know, he was just being a mess. And then later they got tired of hanging out in the desert, so everyone kind of gathered because we're supposed to have dinner. So we had dinner with the Amazigh people, and the German guy was very drunk, by the way. And so we kind of gathered around the fireplace, and we're just kind of chatting. We'd already done like all the entertainment and stuff, so we're just kind of like chatting. And then people started saying racist stuff. Like one person started attacking Iranians. There's an Iranian girl, there's also Dutch as well. She's Dutch but had an Iranian background. She's like, "Don't you mess up with Iran, we are a great civilization." And like, you know, when you are a supervisor, you're supposed to like curtail these kind of conversations, but he was just kind of quiet the whole time. I'm like, that's messed up. And like, you know, people started saying racist stuff, and I'm just like, Whew, well, I'm gonna go to bed very soon. Anyway, the German guy was just going back and forth. I don't know where he was going to, and like people were just ignoring him, and he started puking everywhere. Um, and like they just ignored him, like, but like, and I don't know how to, like, you know, I wasn't even like having a good vibe with him, so I couldn't try to help him, and I don't know what to do. You know, I didn't know what to do, but like, you know, they just kind of left him to do his own thing. And then he puked everywhere. He was puking everywhere, which I thought was so disrespectful to the people that were hosting us. And then, so we all kind of decided, and someone was kind enough to like put him to bed because he was just a whole mess. And so I wanted to use the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
It was the most disgusting sight I've ever seen in my entire life. The German guy had puked everywhere. There was poop everywhere, and like, oh, there was no other place to use the bathroom. That was the only spot. I'm not even gonna try to make you visualize this, but it's one of the things I'm confessing to you. There was no other place. I wasn't gonna go out in the deserts to do anything. That was the only private place, and so I had to use the disgusting bathroom, and that made me kind of hate that German guy. Well, hate is a strong word, but I would say dislike, because I was like, how dare you? Really, how dare you? I just did not talk to him after the trip. Like, he was trying to talk to us, I just ignored him. I'm just like, he didn't even apologize for his behavior. Nothing. The next day, he did not apologize. Like, I was so mad. And like, now those Amazigh people were gonna clean your crap, and you didn't even apologize. It was just like, this is typical ignorant people coming to other countries and just messing things up and not even apologizing or trying to like clean up your mess. And yeah, I'm not gonna try to elaborate on that, but this is why this was the most disgusting experience I've had while traveling, and it was just because of the bathroom experience. But despite all of this, I will say that Morocco till today is one of the most magical places I've ever been to, because it really is inscribed in my heart. It was the second Muslim country I've ever visited, and I felt welcome there. I still wouldn't say, like, I don't know, everyone has their experience, but like, you know, I would just say at least go there once in your life. My favorite place and favorite city in Morocco is Chefchaouen, also known as the Blue City. It's a beautiful city, small city in Morocco, and I will definitely advise you to visit there. If you do go there, check out the Aladdin restaurant if it's still available. It's a beautiful restaurant where it has a terrace and you can see the entire city with a mountain backdrop. Morocco was such a wonderful experience that when I came back, despite the disgusting experience I had, of course, when I did come back, I was narrating everything to my parents, and like my dad was pretending like he didn't hear, but my mom was like so fascinated. And then 2 years later, my parents did go visit Morocco. So yes, that is my experience in Morocco. So, have you ever experienced something like this? What is your most disgusting travel experience? Feel free to share it down in the comment section below, or on my social media. Check out my Instagram, Facebook. You know, if you enjoy the story, let me know, or you want to share your stories as well, share them down in the comment section or on my Instagram page as well. All right, thank you for watching. Bye. Hasta luego.